What's up? You are back to IT. Today we're going to talk about tips to improve your SQL. A lot of people are using SQL. A lot of people are getting started and want to know how to get better. This video is for you. Now, you can get from beginners to intermediate in a matter of a month. I personally believe it's really easy to get from that stage. From beginning stage to intermediate, because most of it is a lot of concepts you already know and apply in other ways. So it's easy to get, I think it's easy to get from beginner to intermediate with just some, standard practice and just going through some basic studies of SQL. But I think that getting from the intermediate phase to advanced is more complicated because you have to make sure you're really understanding what you're trying to do. And when you're looking at things and you have to go through several steps to get an answer, you can get lost in between. So the first tip that I will give you, if you're trying to study, trying to improve your SQL, would be to focus on quality, not quantity. What I mean by that is, don't worry about accomplishing the task of, oh, I have to do 10 queries a day, 15 queries a week. Forget that. That's not the way you want to approach studying and improving yourself. You want to focus on understanding. Do you understand from beginning to end how the results were achieved? If you don't, you need to stop and keep working on that same query until you understand it. That is so important. I think that in life we have distractions. A lot of people have children. A lot of people have lots of issues, lots of things. I won't necessarily say issues, but there's lots of things going on in our lives. So sometimes we're not always focused on what we think we're focused on. So quality over quantity. The next thing I would say, the next tip would be exposure. Sometimes you struggle because you're just not exposed to much. You may not even be aware of what coalesce is. More exposure, and once you see these queries more often, you'll get familiar with it and familiar with how these keywords are being used. So you need to be exposed. I would say read a lot of code by other people. That is going to help you because you're going to get more exposure to what some options are, and you will learn more this way. Okay, so that's another tip that I would give, especially if it's someone who is new trying to take their SQL to the next level. The next step, you want to practice generating output. You want to practice looking at output and generating queries for that output. That's so important because when you go on a job interview, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to give you a output of what the query results are and say, can you write a query for this? So you might as well start practicing that now, so that when you go in that interview, technical interview, you'll already be in the practice of doing this, because you don't want to get caught off guard with this type of situation because it is quite embarrassing. Been there, done that. So learn from my experience, practice generating a query for different output. That will help you as well. I think the most important thing you have to do is when you're trying to study and learn or trying to improve yourself, whether in any kind of programming language, you want to make sure that you're focused on, have you learned anything? If you're sitting for an entire hour working on a query and you haven't learned one thing, you need to stop, because your mind may not be focused where it should be. You should be figuring out something. And if you don't know the answer, if you don't know how to get an answer, go ahead and look at the answer and study the answer. How did they get that? How was that calculated? And another tip that I would give you, and this is something that worked for me, another tip that I would give you is, when you are finished figuring out how an answer was achieved, develop a theory of one solution. Okay, so when I need to do this is one way I can achieve this type of result is this, and you need to make sure you're clear on that. It's always important to be able to have some process for getting stuff done. Yes, it's like you're kind of memorizing a method, but that's just one. That's just one way that you're You're using that one method or one solution to be able to create one theory for getting something done. So that's one thing that you can actually use. But don't forget to try other ways to get those same answers. You don't want to box yourself in. So try other ways and other methods. There are several ways to get the same results. In any programming language, it's the same thing. All right? So that's all for today. Please, if you like my content, please like, share, subscribe to my channel. If you want to be notified when I post my videos, don't forget to hit the bell, all right? Till next time, peace.